Wealth and poverty are not just conditions of the wallet, they are conditions of the mind. Poverty is not merely the absence of money, it is often the absence of perspective. Some people think poverty is just about a small paycheck, but the truth is, it's often about small thinking. Wealth, on the other hand, is not just about the number of zeros in your bank account, it's about the depth of your vision, the width of your imagination, and the daily habits you practice when no one is watching. You can hand a fortune to someone with poor thinking, and soon enough the fortune will disappear. But you can take away money from someone with wealthy thinking, and soon enough the money will return. Why? Because wealth is not about what you have, it's about who you've become. Success is not something you stumble into, it's something you design. Failure is not something that hits you from behind, it's something you drift into when you stop paying attention. Poor thinking causes drift. You let days pass without planning. You let opportunities slide because you weren't prepared. You react instead of responding. But wealthy habits create design. They give you structure, they give you direction, and they give you purpose. Wealthy people don't leave their success to chance. They architect it, piece by piece, day by day. So today, let's talk about the difference between poor thinking and wealthy habits. Let's talk about how to shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance, from drifting to designing, from wishing to winning. Because once you change the way you think about money, success, and life, you'll start to see the results not just in your wallet, but in the quality of the life you build. Let's talk about money. Not in the way most people talk about it, but in the way that shapes destinies. Money you see is a tool. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a tool like a hammer, a saw, or a wrench. And just like any tool, you either master it or it masters you. The sad part is, most people let money become the master. They wake up every day chasing it, worrying about it, stressing over it. It becomes the center of their universe, and soon they're not living life, they're just surviving for money. But that's not wealth, that's slavery. Now here's what the wealthy do differently. They see money for what it is, a servant. Money is there to serve your life vision. It's there to fund your dreams, support your family, expand your learning, create new opportunities, and give back to others. It's not there to own you, it's there to obey you. But this requires a shift in thinking. It's easy to become emotionally attached to money. People get scared when they lose it. They get greedy when they have it. They get paralyzed when they don't know what to do with it. And soon they're acting based on emotion, not wisdom. That's when money stops being a tool and starts becoming the master. I remember early in my career, I was broke. Not just financially, but mentally. I thought money was this mysterious thing other people had figured out. I thought it was luck, or maybe talent, or being born into the right family. But then someone handed me a philosophy that changed my life. They said, money works best when you tell it where to go, not when you wonder where it went. That was a light bulb moment for me. It wasn't about luck, it was about direction. If I could control the flow of my money, I could control my future. And if I let it flow according to my plan, it would start working for me, not against me. So I started small. Every time I earned $1, I asked myself, what job is this dollar going to do for me? Some dollars I assigned to savings, some to investments, some to learning, some to giving, and yes, some to lifestyle, because life is to be enjoyed, not just endured, but the key was to make those decisions on purpose, not by accident. When you do this, money becomes like a loyal employee. It works for you day and night. It compounds, it grows, it builds security, and eventually it creates freedom. But if you let money run wild, if you let your emotions decide instead of your wisdom, then you'll always feel like there's never enough. It'll control your days, your moods, and your relationships. That's not the way life was meant to be lived. Money should be the servant, and you should be the master. There's something interesting about money that most people don't understand. You don't get wealthy by chasing money alone. You get wealthy by becoming the kind of person who can handle wealth when it arrives. That's why you'll often see people win the lottery and then go broke a few years later. Why? Because the money arrived, but the mindset never changed. They didn't become the person who could sustain that fortune, so the fortune vanished. It's not the money that makes you rich, it's who you become in the process of earning, managing, and growing it. See, wealth is like a house with a weak foundation. If you pile too much success on a poor foundation, the whole thing collapses. But if you spend time building the foundation discipline, wisdom, emotional control, then the house of wealth stands tall and lasts for generations. I learned this the hard way in my early days. When I first started making a little more money, I thought the problem was solved. But soon I realized the old habit stuck around. Spending too fast, saving too little, looking for shortcuts. That's when a mentor told me something I'll never forget. You can't have million-dollar dreams with a $10 mindset. That hit me right between the eyes. So I went to work not just on making money, but on becoming better. I started reading, studying, and thinking. I practiced patience. I learned to delay gratification. I worked on my integrity, keeping promises to myself, finishing what I started, paying my debts. Because wealth requires more than skill. It requires character. The universe doesn't hand you more than you're prepared to handle. If you want to build a fortune, first build the person who can manage it wisely. Think about this. If someone gave you $1 million, but you hadn't learned to budget $1,000, you'd lose it just as fast as you gained it. Why? Because your thinking is stuck at the $1,000 level. The way you treat small money is exactly how you'll treat big money. If you're careless with $100, you'll be careless with 100,000. If you're impulsive with small sums, you'll be impulsive with large sums. The number of zeros doesn't change your habits, just magnifies them. That's why personal development is not optional on the road to wealth. It's essential. Read books on finance, but also read books on discipline, character, and leadership. Learn about investments, but also learn about emotional control and patience. Build skills in the marketplace, but also build humility and gratitude. The goal isn't just to get rich. The goal is to become the kind of person who deserves to be. Because when you become that person, wealth isn't temporary, it's lasting. And that's the real win. One of the greatest lessons I ever learned in life was this. Wages make you a living, but profits build you a fortune. Now, there's nothing wrong with wages. Wages are honorable. You show up, you trade your time, you provide your skills, and in return you get paid. That's how most people start, and it's a good place to begin. But if you stop there, if you spend your whole life trading time for money, you'll likely find that there's a limit to how far you can go. There are only so many hours in the day. There's only so much energy in the body. And eventually, you hit a ceiling. That's why I always encourage people to think about profits. Profits come from enterprise. Profits come from creativity. Profits come from stepping beyond just what you can do with your own two hands and creating something that works even when you're not there. That's the beginning of wealth. It doesn't have to be a massive corporation to start with. It can be a small side business. It can be an online store. It can be a service you offer in your spare time. Maybe you create a product or write a book or start a blog that earns ad revenue. Or perhaps you invest in real estate and collect rent. That's profits money working for you, not just you working for money. I remember when I first learned this lesson. I was working for someone else, doing well, but I started to notice something. The company owner had time freedom. He had financial freedom. I was working hard, but he was earning while I was sleeping. I asked him, "How do you do it?" And he said, "I've built systems that pay me whether I'm present or not. I focus on profits, not just wages." That planted a seed in my mind. I decided I wanted to do the same. So I started small. I took a little of my extra time and created a side project. I sold products. I invested in small opportunities. I figured out how to turn my ideas into income. And I learned a powerful truth. You don't have to quit your job to start building profits, but you do have to quit thinking like an employee if you want to become wealthy. Employees think about security. Entrepreneurs think about opportunity. Employees think about hours. Entrepreneurs think about leverage. That shift in mindset is what starts the whole journey toward financial freedom. And here's the beautiful part, profits don't just make you money, they make you better. When you start your own enterprise, even if it's small, you develop new skills. You learn negotiation, leadership, problem solving. You start to see the world differently. Instead of saying, I hope someone pays me more, you start asking, how can I create more value? And that question, my friend, leads to wealth, because profits follow value. So don't just work for wages, work for profits too. Start something small, but start. One of the fundamental principles of wealth is this: if you can't handle small money, you'll never handle big money. It's a simple truth, but most people overlook it. They think, when I make more, then I'll get serious about managing my finances. But life doesn't work like that. Wealth is not just about how much you make, it's about how well you manage what you have right now. Discipline comes first. The amount comes later. I've seen people who earned small incomes, but still found a way to save, invest, and grow. And I've seen people who earned fortunes, but lost it all, because they never learned how to handle money when the numbers were small. The numbers might change, but the habits stay the same. If you're careless with $100, you'll be careless with 1,000. If you waste 1,000, you'll waste 10,000. That's just the way it works. I remember starting out with hardly anything. My pockets were practically empty. But my mentor told me, take a portion of whatever you earn, no matter how small, and set it aside. At first I thought, what's the point? I'm barely making enough to get by. But he was teaching me something far more important than saving nickels. And Dimesh was teaching me the habit of discipline, the habit of control, the habit of deciding in advance where your money will go rather than wondering where it went. So I started small. I saved a few dollars here and there. I tracked my spending. I learned to live a little below my means. And as my income grew, those habits stayed with me. It wasn't about the amount, it was about the principle. It was about proving to myself that I could handle what I had, and that prepared me for the day when the numbers got bigger. I didn't have to change my behavior later because I built the right habits early. Most people don't fail financially because of a lack of opportunity. They fail because they never learned to respect money. They never learned to treat it properly. They let small leaks sink big ships. They say, it's only $5, or it's just a coffee here and there. But the wealthy know something different. They know that small leaks, if left unchecked, eventually lead to a sinking boat. That's why the practice of handling small money matters so much. And here's another lesson. Small money handled well builds confidence. When you save your first 100, you start to believe you can save 1,000. When you invest your first 1,000, you begin to believe you can invest 10,000. It's a process of becoming, not just earning. You grow into wealth by practicing discipline when the stakes are low, so you're ready when the stakes get higher. So don't wait for a windfall to get serious about your finances. Don't say, I'll manage my money better when I have more. Start now with what you have and prove to yourself that you're ready for more. One of the most powerful principles I've learned and taught over the years is this simple truth: spend less than you earn always. It doesn't matter if you're making $50 a week or $5,000 a month. Wealth begins when you keep a portion of what you bring in before you even think about spending. Saving isn't something you do after all your expenses. It's the very first step you take each time money arrives. I remember when I was just starting out, money was tight. The temptation to spend everything was real. But the few who understood this rule early were the ones who built lasting security. Saving isn't just about the money itself. It's about the mindset. It says, I value my future more than my immediate desires. And that shift in thinking makes all the difference. Too many people live paycheck to paycheck, never setting aside anything because they spend first and save whatever is left if there's anything left at all. But that's a recipe for struggle no matter how much you make. The wealthy do it differently. They pay themselves first. As soon as the paycheck arrives, a portion is moved to savings, investments, or wealth-building accounts. This turns saving from an afterthought into a priority. I've seen countless times that this habit creates a foundation that can weather storms. Emergencies happen, Opportunities arise, and those who have practiced saving can respond. On the other hand, those who have lived beyond their means find themselves trapped, borrowing, or scrambling to catch up. What's important to understand is that saving isn't about depriving yourself. It's about creating freedom, the freedom to make choices, rather than be forced by circumstances. When you consistently spend less than you earn, you create a surplus. That surplus becomes your seed money. It grows with discipline and patience into a fortune. And it's not just about cutting costs drastically. It's about wise spending. Prioritize what truly matters and eliminate waste. This teaches you control. It makes every dollar intentional. Because wealth doesn't come from how much you make, but from how much you keep and how smartly you use it. So remember, wealth is not magic, it's practice. Start by saving before you spend. Even if it's a small portion, make it a habit. Pay yourself first and watch how your financial life begins to change. That's where all wealth starts. Financial independence is one of the greatest freedoms a person can achieve. It's not just about having money. It's about taking full responsibility for your own financial destiny. Too many people live as financial dependents, relying on government aid, family support, or sheer luck to get by. But when you depend on anything outside of your own efforts and wisdom, you surrender control over your future. I've seen people who wait for that inheritance, that bonus, or that unexpected windfall. They sit back hoping something or someone will come through for them. But wealth is not built on hope. It's built on action and responsibility. When you take charge of your finances, you're no longer at the mercy of external circumstances. You create your own security. This means learning to manage your money wisely, creating multiple streams of income, and building assets that generate wealth regardless of your job or economic conditions. It means cultivating a mindset that says, I am the captain of my financial ship. And that mindset is powerful because it places you in the driver's seat of your life. In my own journey, I started with almost nothing and no safety net. I had to rely on myself. That forced me to learn, to grow, and to take risks wisely. And every step toward independence made me stronger and more confident. The freedom that comes from not depending on others for your financial survival is priceless. So don't wait for a government handout or a family rescue. Don't gamble on luck or fate. Build your skills, create wealth, and take ownership of your financial future. Independence is not just about money, it's about dignity, freedom, and peace of mind. And it begins with the decision to take responsibility today. Formal education is important. It teaches you how to earn a living. But if you want to build true wealth, that education alone won't carry you there. The world of money, investing, and wealth building moves fast, and it requires something more than a diploma or degree. It requires self-education, a commitment to lifelong learning, and the hunger to understand how money works. When I began, I quickly realized that the classrooms and textbooks didn't teach me how to handle real money, how to create multiple streams of income, or how to build assets that would serve me for life. That knowledge had to come from somewhere else: books, seminars, mentors, and experience. This kind of learning is not optional. It is the foundation of wealth. You see, money is a language, and like any language, if you want to master it, you must immerse yourself in it daily. Read financial books, listen to experts, study markets, and understand the principles of saving, investing, and growing your income. Find mentors who have walked the path you want to follow. Their wisdom can save you years of trial and error. Self-education is also about mindset, learning how to think about money differently than the average person. It teaches patience, discipline, and long-term thinking. It prepares you to spot opportunities others miss and to avoid pitfalls they fall into. In my life, every dollar I earned, I reinvested in my education books, seminars, courses. That investment paid off many times over because knowledge is the asset that never depreciates. It compounds, just like money does. If you want to finish wealthy, you must start by becoming a student of wealth. Formal education may open doors to a career, but self-education builds the keys to the kingdom of financial freedom. Commit to learning every day, and watch how your fortune grows alongside your wisdom. Wealth is a garden, and your actions are the seeds you plant. Just as a farmer doesn't expect to harvest corn the day after sowing, you shouldn't expect to become rich overnight. The rich understand this fundamental truth. Wealth grows in seasons, and patience is the farmer's greatest virtue. When I began my journey, I had to learn this the hard way. I wanted quick results, fast money, and immediate success. But life taught me that lasting wealth is the fruit of consistent effort over time. Every dollar saved, every skill learned, every relationship built, these were the seeds I planted, and only through patience and persistence did I see the harvest. The planting season is the time of study, sacrifice, and preparation. It's the daily discipline of saving a portion of your income, investing wisely, and building your knowledge. The nurturing phase is when you continue to care for those seeds, reinvesting earnings, refining your skills, and staying the course, even when results seem slow or invisible. The rich know that impatience kills wealth faster than bad investments. They don't chase trends or shortcuts. They tend their gardens. They prepare for the long haul, understanding that the rewards will come in time, often in ways they couldn't predict. If you want to be wealthy, start planning today. Put aside money, invest in yourself, nurture your talents, and build systems that work for you. Trust the process even when it feels like nothing is happening. The harvest will come and it will be worth the wait. Remember, wealth is the result of seasons, not moments. There's a saying that still holds true. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. In the world of wealth, this translates into a warning against chasing get-rich-quick schemes. The temptation to take shortcuts is strong. Who wouldn't want to make a fortune overnight? But history shows that wealth built too quickly often disappears just as fast. When I started out, I saw many people chasing quick fixes, risky investments, flashy business ideas with no foundation, promises of easy money. They were drawn by excitement and hope, but most ended up losing what little they had. Wealth is not a lottery. It's a process built on patience, discipline, and steady progress. Building real wealth requires laying a solid foundation. It means developing good habits like saving regularly, investing wisely, learning constantly, and living below your means. It's about making small, smart decisions day after day. It's about understanding that true security comes from resilience, not luck. The fast lane to wealth is often a dead end, but the road of steady, consistent effort may seem slower. It is far more reliable. When you build wealth slowly and methodically, it's like planting a strong tree with deep roots. It can weather storms, grow tall, and provide shade for generations. Avoid the shiny distractions that promise quick returns. Instead, focus on your craft, your investments, your growth. Wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. Trust in the process. Keep your eyes on the long term and build a financial legacy that lasts. The slow and steady path is not just safer, it's the path of the truly wealthy. One of the most powerful principles I've learned and taught us the simple habit of paying yourself first. It sounds straightforward, but it changes everything. Imagine this. The moment your money arrives, before bills, before entertainment, before anything else, you set aside a portion for your future. You treat your savings and investments not as optional extras, but as mandatory payments like rent or utilities that must be paid every month. When I first began my journey, I struggled to save because I treated it as what was left over at the end of the month if there was anything left. But that mindset kept me living paycheck to paycheck. What changed everything was deciding to pay myself first, to make saving automatic, not something I did if I remembered or if there was money left. This habit trains your mind to operate from discipline, not leftovers. It's a powerful signal to your subconscious that you value your future self. It builds momentum. Each small amount saved compounds over time, growing into a foundation of wealth. The earlier you start this habit, the greater the reward. Many people wait until they have enough to save, but the truth is, wealth begins with consistent, intentional action, not the size of your paycheck. Paying yourself first creates a mindset of abundance and control. It turns saving into a priority, not a sacrifice. Remember, wealth isn't what you make, it's what you keep and grow. Treat your savings like a bill you owe yourself and watch how your financial future transforms. Paying yourself first isn't just good advice. It's the cornerstone of financial freedom. In life and in money, nothing grows without seasons. Just like a farmer who understands when to plant, when to nurture, when to harvest, and when to rest, you must master the seasons of money. Wealth is not a random event, it's a cycle, a rhythm that you must learn to follow if you want lasting success. Early in your journey, there is a season to learn, a time to soak in knowledge, to study markets, money, and personal growth. This is a time to prepare your mind, your habits, and your skills. When I began, I spent countless hours reading, listening, and learning because I understood that what I didn't know could cost me dearly. This season is about planting seeds, often invisible and unnoticed, but absolutely essential. Then comes the season to investo. Put your money, your time, and your energy into assets and projects that grow, but don't rush it. Just as a farmer doesn't expect a crop the day after planting, you shouldn't expect instant returns. Patience and nurturing are required. Regular attention, consistent contributions, and wise choices define this phase. After patience and effort comes the season to harvest the moment when your investments start paying off. This is the time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, but also to be wise. Harvesting wisely means reinvesting part of your gains, saving and preparing for the next cycle. The wealthy don't spend recklessly during the harvest. They prepare for the future. Finally, there is the season to protect. Every fortune faces risks, market changes, emergencies, or unexpected challenges. This is the time to build your defenses with insurance, emergency funds, and diversification. Protection isn't a sign of fear, but a sign of wisdom. It ensures that your hard work isn't wiped out by a single event. Understanding and mastering these seasons gives you control over your financial life. When you know where you are in the cycle, you act with purpose instead of panic. You learn when to be patient and when to be proactive. Wealth isn't a sprint, it's a well-tended garden growing through seasons. Remember, wealth is a journey through seasons, not a one-time event. Embrace each phase with discipline and gratitude, and you will build lasting prosperity. Setting clear financial goals is like drawing a map before embarking on a journey. Without a destination in mind, you'll wander aimlessly, wasting time and energy. But when you define exactly what you want to earn, save or invest, you create a powerful force that guides your daily actions. In my own life, I realized early that vague wishes like, "I want to be rich someday," weren't enough. It wasn't until I sat down and wrote specific goals, show much money I wanted to save each month, how much I wanted to invest in assets, and what kind of income I wanted to generate, that my progress became real. Goals turn dreams into plans, and plans turn plans into actions. Writing down your goals is critical because it makes your intentions tangible. When goals are clear, your mind begins to focus on finding opportunities, solutions, and habits that align with those targets. You'll begin to see options that others miss because you have a clear why driving you. But clear goals also bring accountability. When you review your goals regularly, you can track progress and adjust your strategy. This keeps you disciplined and prevents distractions from derailing you. It's important that your financial goals are measurable and realistic, yet stretch you beyond your comfort zone. For example, instead of saying, "I want to save money," say, "I want to save $5,000 this year." Instead of, "I want to earn more," say, "I want to increase my monthly income by 20% within 6 months. Setting clear financial goals is not just about numbers, it's about mindset. It tells your brain that you are serious about change. It's a commitment to yourself that you will work consistently toward wealth. Without clear goals, even the best advice won't stick. But with clear financial goals, every step you take becomes purposeful, and purpose is the engine of wealth. Remember, vague goals lead to vague results. Set your targets, write them down, and watch how your life begins to shift. In the journey to financial freedom, one of the most important lessons is to prioritize ownership before indulgence. Far too many get caught in the trap of buying luxury items, the fancy car, the latest gadgets, the upscale lifestyle, before they've built a foundation of equity and assets. The problem is, when you spend on luxury first, you're financing a lifestyle that isn't supported by real wealth. It's like building a house on sand. I've seen it time and again. People earn well but live paycheck to paycheck because their spending outpaces their ownership. The wealthy think differently. They know that true freedom and security come from owning asset stocks, real estate, businesses that produce income, not just from chasing momentary pleasures. They buy assets first, then let the income from those assets pay for the lifestyle they desire. Think about this. When your investments generate enough cash flow, luxury no longer feels like a sacrifice. It becomes an outcome of smart choices. Instead of working harder for material things, your money works for you, supporting your pleasures and expanding your freedom. This mindset requires discipline. It means delaying gratification and saying not yet to things that don't build your equity. It means asking yourself, am I buying this because I can afford it or because it's building my future? When you put assets first, every dollar spent moves you closer to independence. In my own life, I learned to hold off on upgrading my lifestyle until my investments were generating real returns. That decision gave me freedom and peace of mind. Luxury became a reward, not a burden. So remember, own equity before buying luxury. Build your wealth first, then enjoy the fruits of your labor without worry. This simple rule can turn a lifetime of struggle into a legacy of abundance. Building wealth is like tending to a precious goose that lays golden eggs. It's one thing to grow your fortune, but it's another to protect it with vigilance and care. The moment you start accumulating assets, you must understand that your true wealth lies not just in what you've earned, but in what you can safeguard for the future. Without protection, all the effort, discipline, and sacrifice can be wiped away in an instant. I learned this lesson firsthand in my early days when unexpected events threatened to undo years of hard work. It was a wake-up call. Just as a farmer doesn't neglect the goose that lays golden eggs, you cannot neglect your health, your possessions, or your time. These are the foundations of wealth. Health insurance, property insurance, and liability protection are not expenses. They are investments in your financial stability. Without your health, no amount of money matters. Without your assets properly insured, a single disaster can drain your resources. And without guarding your time, your most finite asset, you risk losing the ability to generate income and build further wealth. Time is also your most valuable asset. Learn to protect it by saying no to distractions and delegating tasks that don't require your attention. Guard it like gold, because once lost, time can never be reclaimed. In protecting the goose, you're not just preserving what you have, you're creating a platform from which your wealth can continue to grow. When your foundation is secure, you can take calculated risks, knowing you have a safety net. So remember this, wealth isn't just about building the golden eggs, it's about protecting the goose that lays them. Treat your health, your assets, and your time as sacred. This discipline ensures your financial journey is not only successful, but sustainable over a lifetime. There's a powerful rhythm to wealth that many overlook, the rhythm of giving and receiving. Generosity isn't just about charity or kindness. It's a vital part of the wealth-building process. When you give, you're sending a clear message to the universe and to your own mind. You have enough. You trust that more will come, and you open the door for abundance to flow. I remember early in my journey when money was tight, but I made a commitment to give a portion of whatever I earned. It wasn't easy, and it felt counterintuitive at times. But each time I gave, I noticed something remarkable. Doors opened, opportunities appeared, and a sense of peace filled my heart. Giving created momentum not just for others, but for myself. Wealth built on scarcity and fear never lasts. But wealth built on abundance, on the belief that there's always enough to go around, becomes a magnet for more. It trains your mind to see opportunities, to build relationships, and to create value beyond just dollars and cents. Giving doesn't mean reckless spending. It means intentional generosity. Set aside a portion of your income as a non-negotiable act of giving, whether it's time, money, or knowledge. This practice cultivates gratitude and humility, two of the richest states of mind you can have. When you give, you also build legacy. You influence others to think bigger, to rise higher, and to carry forward the torch of prosperity. This ripple effect extends far beyond your bank account. It shapes your community and your life's impact. Remember, generosity is not a weakness, it is the seed of wealth. Give wisely, give often, and watch as the circle of abundance expands around you. Wealth grows best when it flows, so let it flow through you freely. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful skills on the path to wealth, yet it's one of the hardest lessons for many to grasp. I've seen people drown in obligations, spending both their time and money trying to please everyone around them. They spread themselves thin, and their resources, both financial and emotional, become depleted. Saying yes to everything often means saying no to what truly matters. Wealthy people understand that every yes carries a cost. It's not just the money they spend, but the energy they give, the focus they lose, and the opportunities they miss. Saying no is not about being selfish, it's about being intentional. It's about protecting your priorities, your goals, and your future. I remember early in my career, when I was eager to help everyone and say yes to every opportunity. Before long, I was exhausted, scattered, and barely making progress. It was only when I started saying no to distractions, to unworthy requests, to poor financial decisions that I began to focus on what truly moved the needle. Financial discipline starts with boundaries. Learn to say no to unnecessary expenses, to tempting but unwise purchases, and to any financial drain that doesn't align with your goals. Say no to time wasters that steal your productivity and no to relationships that don't uplift you. Saying no is a declaration of respect for your time and your money. It's a way of guarding the fertile soil in which your wealth can grow. Without the power to say no, your efforts get scattered, your resources diluted, and your vision blurred. Embrace no as a tool, not a rejection. Use it wisely to carve out space for the yes that truly counts. Your wealth and your life will thank you for it. Remember, every no is a yes to something greater. Time is the one resource that no amount of money can ever replace. You can lose a fortune and rebuild it, but when time slips away, it's gone forever. That's why understanding the true value of time is critical on the journey to wealth. Many people chase money without realizing that if they waste their time, their ability to earn, grow, and enjoy life diminishes. Time is the currency of life, far more precious than the dollars in your bank account. Early in my life, I learned that the real secret to success wasn't just working hard, but working smart. And that meant managing my time as carefully as I managed my money. Wealthy people guard their time like a lion guards its territory. They know that time invested wisely compounds just like money. Investing time in learning, building relationships, and creating assets yields dividends for decades. If you find yourself spending hours on things that bring little value, it's time to rethink your priorities. Focus on activities that multiply your results. And don't be afraid to delegate or say no to distractions. Time is your most precious asset. Spend it on what matters most. Growing your skills, nurturing your health, and building your wealth. Money lost can often be recovered. Time lost cannot. Treat your time with the reverence it deserves, and you'll find the rest money, success, freedom falling into place naturally. Use your time wisely, and you will own your future. Wealth is far more than the numbers you see in a bank account or the assets you accumulate. True wealth begins in the mind. It's a way of thinking, a mindset that shapes your actions and your destiny long before the first dollar arrives. The rich understand this deeply. They cultivate attitudes, beliefs, and habits that attract money rather than merely chasing it. I remember early in my journey, I had little money, but a Vijuna mindset that believed in abundance, growth, and opportunity. That mindset became my foundation, my compass through challenges and setbacks. Without it, no amount of cash would have lasted or multiplied. Wealth starts with how you see yourself and your possibilities. When you think like a wealthy person, you make decisions differently. You invest in learning, take calculated risks, and focus on long-term gains. Your mind becomes a magnet for opportunities, and your actions align with your goals. Conversely, poor thinking traps people in cycles of scarcity, fear, and missed chances. You don't wait for wealth to change your thinking. You start thinking like the wealthy now. Develop patience, discipline, gratitude, and a hunger for growth. These mental habits set the stage for real, lasting wealth. Remember, your mind is the fertile soil in which the seeds of fortune grow. Cultivate it well, and your wealth will follow. As we come to the close of this conversation, remember this: wealth is not a random stroke of luck, nor is it simply about how much money you earn. True wealth begins in the mind with the beliefs you hold, the habits you cultivate, and the vision you embrace. It's about choosing daily to think bigger, act wiser, and grow stronger no matter where you start. Now is the moment to take ownership of your financial destiny. Start by examining your mindset. Are you nurturing thoughts of abundance or scarcity? Are your habits aligned with growth or comfort? Wealth doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It comes to those who prepare themselves mentally and take consistent action. I challenge you to commit today. Decide to shift your thinking, invest in your education, and build daily habits that serve your financial future. Don't just dream about wealth, live it in your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Your financial freedom depends on the mental code you unlock now. So go forth with clarity and courage. Plant the seeds in your mind, tend to them every day, and watch as they grow into a rich, abundant life. The power is in you think like the wealthy, and you will live like the wealthy.